Melbourne get a bit of a get-out-of-jail card, and that's the only one they're going to get tonight, because in round one we gave them a mulligan on this particular couch. In round two, I gave them a big out, noted some major improvements. Well, in round three, you can only say that their game has absolutely collapsed, Brownie.
Yeah, it has. And look, I'm sitting on the couch on Friday night and I see this incident, and it just... Watch Neville Jetta now. We'll see it again here, just closely. Now, Neville Jetta is a player that I've admired from afar. He strikes me as a guy I'd love to be in the trenches with. He's a tough player. But when I see actions like that out in the field, I think, geez, what's going on with that club at the moment? What's going on with that playing list? That is a playing list completely devoid of confidence at the moment. There's real problems there. So they were fearless in 2018, the Melbourne Demons. Yeah, they won the contest footy, but all their players were fearless. So when I see actions like that, Jared, I go, what's going on down there? What's going on there? You know, so
they actually had a slow start to his season last year and ended up All-Australian. So
yeah, no, but he wasn't.
I know the point you're making.
He wasn't doing that, and we saw a couple of short steps from players last week as well. And I'm not sitting there saying Neville Jetta's a timid player. He's not a timid player. He's a tough player. But when you see actions like that, boys, that's alarm bells for me. Yeah, you have to dig deeper and go, what is wrong with this group at the moment? And they are completely devoid of confidence.
It's a very dark art, your art of coaching, Roosie, and I think Simon Goodwin is finding out just how dark it can be. Before the match and after the match, he had very mixed messages about whether they'd use excuses for their midfield. Let's have a listen.
What I want to do is put that to bed. As a coach and as a club, there are no more excuses for us as a club. Start judging us on our performances and not on our pre-season. We're ready to go. We're fit. We've got a good 22 that's going out there to play. So let's judge us on our performances and let's stop the excuses.
Every single one of our midfielders was in rehab for the majority of the pre-season. So we're still working hard at training, trying to really build that chemistry back with our rucks and our inside mids.
So very mixed messages, and quite clearly before the match it was no excuses, trying to build the confidence of the playing group, but afterwards it was a stark reality that they're not getting the job done.
Yeah, look, no one likes to be in the position of 0-3, and particularly a team that's come into the season, you know, touted as premiership, top four, etc. But there's no sugarcoating how bad they're going. I mean, if you look back, and the statisticians come up with this today, 2013 rather, when they'd won 2 games and lost 20, you look at the stats on the left-hand side, they're a worse team defensively than they were in terms of ranking points. Points against 18, opposition scores per inside 50-18, points conceded from turnovers 17, points conceded from stoppages 17. So it's a defensive mechanism. It's all over the ground. People are pointing to their back six, but the back six can only do so much. Coaches talk about 18-man offence and 18-man defence. Their only defensive mechanism is ball in hand and scoring.
Yep.
That's the only way they can defend the ground at the moment.
I suspect we could do a whole show on this, Jared, so you've got to pick your mark.
You have lobbied for a Melbourne hour.
Well, it wouldn't be a great hour. Let's just set the scene on Friday night.
Yep.
They've had 2 bad games. We know Essendon have, so it's a question is on everyone. So the ball is bounced. The ball goes into Melbourne's forward line. It gets rebounded by McKenna. You talk about, if you're a key defender, if you're Oscar McDonald or you're Frost, you're inside the jumper of the opposition and you're pushing them up the ground, you're not letting them get... Talk about confusion in defence. What's Oscar McDonald doing? He's left his opponent. Frost then leaves his opponent, and they look at each other and go, well, who's going to take responsibility for a man? So there's a zone breakdown, and this is about the third goal of the game here. Oscar McDonald left the screen. He's got coverage. Nathan Jones has got Tipper and Woody on his left there. Surely he goes to him. He leaves Tipper and Woody, and Oscar McDonald leaves his man. Ball goes over the back. Jones is in no man's land, Oscar McDonald's in no man's land, and Tipper Woody's on the inside where the ball goes to. Third goal in the game, scene is set, game over.
Well, we must have been watching the same game, Gaz, because I was similarly frustrated sitting at home watching on the couch. And it went on and on and on. This one is late in the game. Bailey Fritsch, who's forward and playing in the back line, he sees and goes when there's already 2 Melbourne players that are going to cover off. He's left his man, Tipper Woody, sitting out the back. So you wouldn't believe it. He gets it, and the bloke who comes up to smother him, he's left his man, and yes, indeed, Chinese checkers. 101 at the MCG. He ends up with that particular ball. I mean, it is a combination of confusion. Yep. The X's and O's are clouding the judgment at the present time. And Ruse is a bloke who built his craft on back shoulder defence. You must be getting quite frustrated, more so than Gazza, who generally looks at the forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll talk a bit about the Suns later. I mean, their system is very uncomplicated. Back shoulder's a lot more uncomplicated system. Midfield spread one-on-one's a lot more uncomplicated. But you can see there, it's very, very hard to get it right. Bailey Fritsch is clearly told to push up on his man, then someone else got to recognise. You end up with a 3-1. You know, a 3-1, and if it's not absolute pressure instantaneously, that 3-1 suddenly turns into a goal from Parry.
But that doesn't explain, especially the first couple you showed there, Gaz, with McDonald and Frost. They were there last year when Melbourne were going well.
Yeah, I reckon...
So it's the same system. I don't think Goody's changed the game style over the off-season.
I think if he went back to last year, a couple of last year's shows, it'd be very similar edits and highlights. And in the end, Frost is the best player. He's at his best, and he's got some limitations when he's back shoulder. He's quick. We know that. He's Liam Jones in a Melbourne jumper. And when Liam tries to, you've said many times, when he tries to be Alex Rance, he's no good. Liam played on, we'll have a look at him, Buddy, back shoulder, did a fantastic job. Get back to that, Sam.
Many times we did discuss this up until about round 12, and it was Max Gawn that we actually turned it round when they pushed him back. Forward half.
You look at the defensive half. Just have a look at the numbers from the forward half. So the numbers from the forward half have been... Yeah, terrible. They were a very strong forward half team. They're still going inside 50 a lot and still a lot of kicks inside 50. But have a look at the retention rate. They've gone to the worst side in the competition, been able to retain the ball inside 50. And the ground balls have really dropped away. Now, a big loss is Jesse Hogan. Jesse Hogan, the loss of him has been hugely underrated because he's a really good ground ball player, no doubt about that. Now, I just want to show you some vision going to the forwards. So a lot of the forwards will be putting their hands up going, it's the fault of the midfielders, the way they deliver the ball. But let's have a look at some of the leading patterns. They're all at sea at the moment. There's no connection to their mids and forwards. That's a horrible lead by Sam Wiedemann. Leading up into congestion, he knows that France is going to drop off in that situation. Look at this one. Wiedemann and McDonald both lead to a spot. The kicker is a left footer there. He's about a 5% chance of hitting either of those targets. Look at all the Essendon players around there. That's just horrible lead. That has to go to the top of the goal square. Now, have a look at this one. This is a cardinal sin. You should always lead to the midfielder into his vision. He is under pressure. Lead out to the right into his... No, the boys want to cheat. They want to lead to the inside. They want to get the millionaire's kick. Now, these are forwards that are contributing to the reason why they haven't got great efficiency inside 50. So you can't call them blameless. They've got to fix up their leading patterns down there. McDonald and Wiedemann are now thrust into the _1 key forward role. I think the loss of Jesse Hogan has been underrated. I think it's been a very big loss.
No guarantee McDonald will be there.
What do you think about the Hogan loss?
It'd be good to have him and Stephen May, wouldn't it? There's no doubt about that. You can't have both. So, and May's not playing. John Morsfield coached well. He got him up high. We saw him the week before. He had stationary tall forwards that were standing together. Every opportunity, Fantasia, McDonald, Tip and Woody, they got up high and they ran, which is when they played their best footy last year.